We asked our viewers to pick their current favourite games to see what the folks out there are really playing right now. We're counting down the list of games they voted for and why, up next in this month's People's Choice Top 10. And by we asked, I mean me. I did it. I asked, because everyone else is away right now. I'm alone in the office. I could do anything. Hello, I'm Matthew, and with me is no one. Monique, Naveen and Paula are all at a convention. Chaz is in the UK somewhere, and while we've kept it close to our chest for a while now, to be honest, no one's seen Rodney in 3 months. So I'm on my own doing this video. I could do what I want, and most importantly, Chaz can't stop me. Oh yeah, but I do actually have to do the video, so at the top of that list, being played by our viewers, is Ra. Ooh, Ra is great. He's easily the best of the system lords. See, that's a Stargate reference. Normally that would have been cut from the script for being too niche, but again,
no one can stop me.
Ra, the board game, on the other hand, was first released in 1999 and remains one of Rainer Knizia's most popular titles. We know that because of how many times it's been brought back to the market, most recently with the newest version announced by 25th Century Games. The actual game is the masterpiece of auctions and set collection where each turn players bid for tiles as well as bidding for the winning bid token from the last round so that you can use it in the next round. Also, almost everything gets you points. It's great, and I'm not the only one who thinks so, as it received the 10th most votes this month. And talking of sponsors of board game content, Chaz normally writes these. Here's a word from our first sponsor who helped us in part to make this episode possible.
This episode is also sponsored by legendary Doctor Strange in the Shadows of Nightmare from Upper Deck. To sleep, perchance to dream. Because this is the hunting ground for Nightmare, and all those who shut their eyes risk being trapped for eternity in his torturous embrace. Fortunately, we have hope in Doctor Strange, who debuted in Legendary Secret Wars Volume 1 under the Marvel Knights affiliation, but now returns to defend Earth as an Avenger, providing the Sorcerer Supreme with greater synergy with the other Avengers in Legendary, introducing even more setup opportunities. Recruit multiple masters of the mystic arts from this talented cauldron of heroes, because only their combined strength can stand against the denizens of darkness like Nightmare and Dormammu. Follow the link in this video's description to find this terrifying expansion to Legendary at your local friendly game store and at upperdeckstore.com.
At number 9 this month is Caper Europe, and if you've seen Rodney in Europe or anywhere, please let us know. His geese miss him, and I refuse to read the rulebook for Fire in the Lake. It's just not gonna happen. Caper Europe is a 2-player tug-of-war set collection game by Keymaster Games where you take on the role of criminal masterminds recruiting a crew of thieves to send out to locations across Europe with backpack for the spy gear so that you it says that you can collect more stolen goods than your rivals, which is just a fancy way of saying rob stuff for points. Right? This is another game I'm really happy to see being played, though I promise I've never watched you playing it. What are you talking about? That'd be crazy. What are you talking about? The production is impeccable. The gameplay is masterful. It really is, in my opinion, one of the best card games out there. It's full of tension. It'll make you tell Paula that you hate her. I should call Paula and tell her that I hate her. And I'm not the only one who thinks that Caper Europe is great, with TJ saying, just received my copy and we're loving the tug-of-war battle between rival thieves. I remember when we had the tug-of-war in the Watch It Played office, though on second thought, we should really have taken it in turns to cuddle that pony. Being written into the pages of history this month at number 8, we have Biblios, Quill and Parchment, the 1-to-4 player roll and write re-implementation of the classic card game Biblios by Steve Finn and Dr. Steve Finn Games, unlike Chaz, who's not a doctor at all, and again, to be clear, cannot stop me. And for continuity reasons, I had this coffee the whole time. The life of a monastic scribe is not the wacky non-stop hijinks you might reasonably imagine it might be. It's much like working here at the Watch It Played office in that regard. Every day you spend your hours in the monastery copying books, praying, fighting Monique for the best cookies, and performing your monthly duties. Monthly, probably not a word. And in Quill and Parchment, the object of the game is to do those duties in a roll and write kind of way to score the most piety points. The game plays over 8 days, 8 rounds, and in the first 4 days, players are simultaneously rolling their own dice to gather resources. In the last 4 rounds, players use their abbot influence to bid for a priority on tasks. I bloody love the original Biblios. It's a fantastic game, and this roll and write spiritual successor also looks great. What a pun. But don't take my word for it, I might not even exist. Instead, viewer Jonathan L says that Biblios is one of my favourite games, and this roll and write continues that enjoyment. A great alternative to Biblios while keeping some of the same elements but also not taking anything away from the original. Play this game. Okay, I will, but it's not because you told me to. The next game this month is another roll and write. This time it's the 1 to 4 player Three Sisters, a strategic roll and write game about backyard farming, and Three Sisters is named after an indigenous agricultural technique which is still widely used today, in which you plant 3 different crops, in this case pumpkin, corn and beans, and they're planted close together to work in harmony. Corn provides a lattice for the beans to climb, the beans bring nitrogen from the air into the soil, and the squash provides a natural mulch ground cover to reduce weeds and keeps pests away, which works as an analogy for the Watch It Play team. Well, it doesn't work perfectly. Then again, neither did that Seeing Eye marmoset we bought. And people love him. In the game, you have your own player sheet with multiple areas: the garden, the apiary, compost, perennials, goods, fruits, and the shed, which is filled with tools that have special abilities. All the crops, fruits, and flowers and hives are represented by tracks, and you will mark off as you acquire those items. Many of the tracks are interconnected with other elements in the game, giving you bonuses along the way. And a common feature of these tracks are circles that represent a harvest, which generates goods. And if you get enough goods, you unlock bonus actions. The more actions you get, the further up the tracks you go, the more points you get. And Three Sisters is such a good looking game, you know, and it has a feel to it that makes you think, yeah, it just makes you feel good inside. You know what I mean? Don G does, I think, saying, incredible roll and write. I love what the designers are doing for the genre, which is true. They made Fleet the Dice game as well, which is stellar. They also made the game stellar. Coming in at number 6, we have Voices in My Head. It really does look like Rodney, right? Wherever he is. Voices in My Head by Corey Konieczka plays 3 to 6 players who step into the courtroom and into the mind of a man on trial for robbing a bank. No, he couldn't have. He's way too Canadian to rob a bank. No, he couldn't have. He's too Canadian to have robbed a bank. Anyway, one player takes on the role of prosecutor who is trying to convict the defendant, Guy, and send him to prison. Everyone else takes on the aspects of Guy's personality, such as honesty, selfishness, or maple syrup dependence, and attempts to influence the trial. And oh, to win, yeah, to win the game, you also must achieve your hidden goal. Corey has designed some of the biggest board games of all time. He did design Star Wars Rebellion and Mansions of Madness, among a lot of other big titles, so people being excited about these new designs makes sense. And Voices in My Head is the second game from Corey's new publishing company, Unexpected Games, which brought us the Initiative last year. Another game with a very interesting theme. But if you want something else unexpected, here's the second sponsor of this month's episode. Boom, you never saw it coming until I announced it. I'm terrible at surprises. Welcome to Mountains Out of Molehills, where moles have travelled from all over or under the land to compete in the annual Mountain Maker tournament. In this light strategy game, competitors dig deep to show their skill, piling their molehills as high into the sky as possible, because the mole that builds and controls the most mountains out of molehills after the 6 rounds of dirty dog eat dog digging will be declared the top tunneler and will win the game. Mountains Out of Molehills features a unique 2-level game board, bringing your gameplay into the 3rd dimension, where smiles live. Chunky playing pieces to pile and full colour acrylic standees for each mole. Follow the link in this video's description to find Mountains Out of Molehills, which is available now at your local game store and online at theop.games. Okay, at number 5 on our list, my list. I keep on forgetting. It's my list. Just me. I'm Rodney now. It's Wild Kratts, endangered wildlife game from Rather Dashing Games. In Wild Kratts Endangered Wildlife, players build the best habitats for endangered and critically endangered animals, and you play as Martin, Chris, Koki and Aviva, laying down and manipulating tiles to build the best habitat you can for animals, and it has 3 levels of play so it can be played at all ages. You'll be laying down these tiles which feature various animals in their habitats, and on your turn you may also lay down a creature power disc, securing that tile for manipulation. Some tiles allow you to manipulate the play area with the goal of making large scoring habitats for you and decreasing areas controlled by your opponents. Now, I am aware that this is a television show, and that is about it. But if you like the show, this might be of extra interest to you, like how a Trailer Park Boys game would be of extra interest to me. But Carlos D said, Kratts Creatures is the show that sparked my interest in becoming a biologist. And so I'm always eager to see anything involving the Kratts brothers. And President E added, have loved the Kratts brothers since I was a kid, and Wild Kratts is no exception. So I think I'm the last one out. I certainly wish I'd have watched something as a child that had pointed me in the direction of a real career. Blooming onto the 4th spot this month is Tussie Mussie Expansion Collection, a wallet-sized expansion for the Button Shy game by Elizabeth Hargrave, the designer of Wingspan. Tussie Mussie is an excellent game based on the Victorian fad that assigned meanings to the flowers that friends and lovers exchanged in the form of an I split you choose drafting microgame of 18 cards. The expansion collection expands on this with orange flowers, which adds more flowers, greenery, which opens up the possibility for negative points, and ribbons, which adds shared goals into the bouquet. I'm a big fan of Tussie Mussie, though in fairness, when I bought my own arrangement for Paula, I was a bit more upfront with the meaning. Nothing says stay out of my office like a bunch of wasps taped together. But I'm not the only one who loved Tussie Mussie, with Peter E adding a long-awaited expansion to a lovely game and tying a ribbon on it. Henry W says it clearly with Button Shy packs a lot of punch in those tiny wallets. You know, you'd think spending all your time on your own would be great. And it is. It's brilliant. Normally I'd have to deal with Chaz asking me to do stuff and Naveen just yelling. But today I've been working, it's been peaceful, and most importantly I've been able to bring my katana to work without any judgment. Oh, and coming in at number 3 on our list is another expansion, this time for last year's card layering game, Canvas, with Canvas Reflections. We are told that we can paint from a new perspective with the addition of mirror cards, which are reversible cards that aim to add deeper strategy, and also gives you increased flexibility to string together combinations of elements, as well as the new board that offers a wider selection of art cards that allows you to better plan ahead while presenting more choices. Adding more puzzliness is a great thing in games like this, in my opinion, and viewer Carman Chan agrees, saying loving the double-sided new cards, and Kenneth K adding the finishing touches with double-sided cards, what's not to love? Spiders, I guess, especially the one that's in the office, because I tell you now, getting rid of spiders is a Paula job. I threw a shoe at this one and it just made it angry. All the way at the dizzy heights of number 2 on this month's People's Choice is The Hunger, though it might be the loss of blood that's making this room spin. Now, is that a reference to vampires in this game, The Hunger, or did I just lose round 2 with a spider that knows judo? In The Hunger by Richard Garfield, 2 to 6 players are vampires in a race against time to hunt nature's most dangerous prey, bazookas. I mean humans. You'll have a secret mission to complete and a rose to go out and collect, all in time to make it back to the castle before your plans go up in flames. You see, the more you hunt, the slower both you and your deck become, which will make it harder and harder to get back before daybreak. But it's more points, and we all love points, including Crystal Z, who tells us people are saying that this is a clank killer, but I think there's room enough in my heart to love them both. Only one of them lets you role play as a gluttonous vampire though, which is a compelling argument, I have to say. And Gerard W adds, had a bunch of fun dying right in front of the graveyard with my friends due to bad rolls and too many civilians, which I'll be honest, did make me smile. But before we go on with number 1, I'll say it. Being on your own and all your work colleagues going missing, acquaintances, I'll meet them halfway. You know, as much as I thought it'd be great, I didn't think it would be quite this good. Watch this. Hey, anyone want a cup of tea? No one? See, that's normally the reply I want when I ask that question. Hey, I'm going to go set my desk on fire and respond to people on Twitter. I'm just so happy. But before I go and do that, taking the top place on our viewers' tables this past month is Morels. It's received the most votes, and why not? It's a great little two-player card game that goes by the name Fungi, here in Europe at least. I'm really happy to see it getting some love. It's a great game where we are told that the woods are old growth, dappled with sunlight, delicious mushrooms beckon from every grove and hollow. Morels may be the most sought after in the woods, but there are many tasty and valuable varieties awaiting for the savvy collector. If you're hungry, put a pan on the fire and bask in the aroma of chanterelles as you saute them in butter. Feeling mercantile? Sell porcini to local aficionados for information that will help you find what you seek deep in the forest. In mechanical terms, Morels is a strategic card game for 2 players that uses 2 decks. A day deck that includes 10 different types of mushrooms, as well as baskets, cider, butter, pans and moons, and a smaller night deck of mushrooms to be foraged by moonlight. It's all about collecting sets of mushrooms, then cooking them up with some other tasty ingredients to get points. It's a tense and dynamic set collection game as you manage your hand of cards, avoid poisonous mushrooms, and try to reach the last card that you need just in time to score extra points. And it has a great app as well, and it's a wonderful pick to be at the top spot of this month's People's Choice. Thank you so much everyone for being here with me, and for more top gaming picks, continue on with one of these videos. Or follow the link in the video's description to our Patreon to find out how to pick the games featured in next month's People's Choice episode, and we'll see you over there.